Okay, so the other day I posted a image that I had made of I called it how to play kind of Hendrix style, but this is really a way of thinking that you should have whether or not you want to play the Hendrix style. But I thought maybe making a companion video to go with the image, which I'll probably post up here as well. You know, maybe not in jazz comping, but in a lot of just straightforward rock guitar. You're putting that root somewhere there, or you're using big bar shapes, E and A shapes. So if you're on the low E string, you're going to use E major shapes or E minor shapes. And if you've got an A string root, then you're probably going to follow the same pattern and use an A major shape, or you're going to use an A minor shape. Now, this is not to say, obviously, that's a C major and a C minor that I just played, right? But we're using an A major shape, A minor shape. If you study caged and you study the pentatonic system, and caged kind of together, you find that when you play the E major shape, you'll think about the main major pentatonic where your root is on E, and that could be either E, right? We could think of it on either E string. And then some of the keys to getting the Hendrix sound is the double stops. So you can't really do them where you got the wider pattern. It just doesn't sound Hendrix. Doesn't sound quite right. You need the ones where you actually have that shape. When we're using the B string, it'll be that shape, or it'll be something so you got these different things, and you're going to noodle kind of there. Right. Now I know if my major shape is here, I know that the next shape down is what I think of as the suspended pentatonic, but it's just another shape down here. And I know that these two shapes connect, so I know I can come and get those double stops there. Okay, so you need to see those places where if you really map the pentatonic all the way down, you get kind of 2 frets, 2 frets, 2 frets. You get 3 of those in a row. Then you get a 3 fret and a 3 fret, and those you get 2 of those in a row, and then it starts over again. But so where those 3 frets are, they're not really going to help you that much with the double stop kind of things, those hammer-on double stops, or even not even hammering, just using those kind of as power chord double stop things. So then hopefully that makes sense. Then I'm going to go here for the sake, I'm going to teach a chord progression so that way you can kind of try to practice a chord progression in here. B minor off the 7th fret. So this is a E minor shape, but I'm playing B minor. And we know that the regular old minor pentatonic shape should be there. So far we got. So there we go, that's 2 chords. Of course, I could go back. You could just practice only 2 chords for a little while. One thing I did in the very beginning is just to run so strum, just running the top 3 strings. You could reduce this whole G shape down here, and then reduce the B minor shape to this little thing. And that's still the same notes that you play when you play the full bar. I'm just playing a mini version now on the D, G, and B string. And then I might mess around with the high stuff. Basically, the point being that it makes you actually mess around with the low when you're playing the full bar, and then when you play on the little tiny bar, then you're doing the higher stuff. So then the next chord in our progression would be E minor, which I like to leave this low E in here. Hendrix himself did that in Little Wing a lot. Just another thing that's indicative of a certain style. Now here's where, because we're playing the A minor shape now, we're going to use, it's actually the same minor pentatonic, just built off the A string. So you end up with, so that should, those first three strings should look pretty familiar. It's exactly the same as what I just played on the B minor chord. But then because the B string comes, we got to take a step over, and it kind of messes our pattern a little bit. And then when you go lower, you got those there, okay? All that happened was basically the this thing, it just gets repeated back up there. So you got B minor, they're very similar. This would be B minor pentatonic or D major pentatonic, whichever way you want to think of it. And then this one will be E minor pentatonic or G major pentatonic, whichever way you like to think of it. But so there's really, what, one note difference? I think that's the difference right there, is just those two notes. So, yeah. So four of the notes are exactly the same, but what this does is it kind of gets you playing the changes. You've now taken out what would have been the second on E minor, and you're instead playing the flat 3 on E minor, which is more of a chord tone. So by playing pentatonics, you are playing arpeggios, you're playing the changes, because pentatonics are pretty much 3 chord tones and 2 extra ones, but sometimes it's 4 chord tones with the flat 7, if you think of it as a 7th chord, and then 1 extra tone. So it just depends, which way you're thinking about it. But the point is, you're going to end up playing a lot of arpeggio chord tone notes by doing this. Then I move down to, I use C for my A major shape. And here I've got this, now I build the major pentatonic off of the A string. The B string again causes a little different jump, but it is the same exact shape. And again, mirroring, if we look at the high E, now we have that. C. So now let's just try all 4, and I'm just gonna go. So now we are really playing all the proper scales to go with those chords, and they're all close by. The next step is to then, like we did with that very first chord, is to start learning how to spread out from there. So if I'm playing B minor, knowing that this is here as well, right, so could help you in some way, to go, if you want to go higher or lower with it, then you'll know where to go. Another thing you can do is to take, so a different progression. I'm going to try G major, D major, E minor, C, right, the classic 1, 5, 6, 4. So. Now my runs are a little bit stock. I'm kind of copying myself, you know, in different chords, but still sounds nice. But then by taking this now, I'm going to take it and go up here. Here's another way to kind of practice this. If you've already gotten used to one chord progression and making that work, then try to bring your G major here, and then try to bring your D major, E minor, C. So just trying to change where you are on the neck is going to change the shapes you play a little bit. Right, so you get some different stuff there too. And over time, you'll start to figure out exactly where those double stops are with every chord. And then you can, I'd say the chromaticism is maybe one of the last things that starts to even make it sound more Jimmy-ish, is to have those. Yeah. But so that's the general idea. Hopefully something in there with the images clicked for you, and then you can start working on this on your own. Cool.